Warning! The Anime Egotists have opinions about stuff and other stuff. Please understand this while watching the video and know that no opinion is a fact. Not even yours. So please enjoy the video. Or don't.
I'm Android17, and also Psyche's dad, and you're watching Anime Egotists.
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists Bias Roundtable, where our character development is meh at best. We got me, Foster, and I'm joined by my ever so dashing co-host. Say hello, co-host.
And I'm Williamson.
That's right. Do I get the compliment? Do I get something?
My equally dashing co-host.
Oh, I wasn't expecting a real compliment, but that's okay. That's okay. We are the Anime Egotists, and we like to talk about all things anime, manga, anime gaming, anime fan fiction. No, not fan fiction as much. That's different. Those are some different egotists. But today we are here to talk about anime gaming, and there haven't been a whole lot of anime games coming out the past several months, huh, Williamson?
Yeah, normally you get usually one from one of the big franchises a year or some sort of crossover game, it seems like, that comes out that's the big game of the year for anime. But I don't remember seeing much this year.
It's weird. And one of the games that one of the anime that I would really love a game for is Black Clover. I love Black Clover. I've loved it since the first episode, even though everyone was telling me not to. I'm dressed for the occasion, and I'm dressed for it. And really, we've only gotten one Black Clover game on, I want to say, PS4 and Xbox. Did you play that game at all?
I did not. I think it came out when I was taking a little bit of a break from it because I tried to binge so much of it after a while, so.
I don't know. It was an interesting game. It was, I don't even know how to necessarily describe it, but you played on teams of 4, where everybody picked a character, and you ran around, you had to fight each other, and you had to do certain things like, it almost sort of in a way felt like a mode of Star Wars Battlefront, because there would be modes where you had to protect a certain object, or you had to capture a poster, things like that. It wasn't nearly as popular as it should have been, but that's because up until now, they didn't really do a whole lot of advertising for this game. Like, I remember going to GameStop the day the game came out after pre-ordering it, and the person at the store was like, oh, I didn't even know Black Clover had a game. Let me know how good it is. I'm just like, wow, no one knew this game was coming out. That's not a good sign. Meanwhile, nowadays, with how popular the show is, it would definitely get a little more of a spotlight nowadays.
Yeah, I think, especially after one of the first major arcs, we're not going to spoil anything in the anime as best we can right now, happened. I think that developed a big following as they started to develop the characters a bit more and reveal secrets for the world.
Yeah, also the openings do help. But the game itself, Black Clover Quartet Nights, it's on PlayStation Store right now. I think it's completely free. The only thing that's missing is the story mode. But what we really want to get into, as always, is what would we want for our own Black Clover game? Like, let's say for some reason they come to us and say, hey, all right, so we need a game for you guys. We've never developed before. We have no idea what we're doing. Doesn't matter. Just we'll do it. You think you could ask somebody with a few more subscribers than us? No, just you guys. All right, yeah, works for us. We're not all qualified for it, but why not? And before I want to get this out of the way, I wouldn't want it to be a fighting game.
Yeah, I don't think the mechanics are quite right for all the characters. If there were more characters like Asta, then you might be able to do a fighting game. But since he's one of the few people who uses direct attacks and stuff, then yeah, otherwise you have 100 people that are all long range.
Yeah, not only that, and not a lot of people even have necessarily attack spells when you really start to think about it. But regardless, I'm going to let you start. For your Dream Black Clover game, or our Dream Black Clover game, what sort of thing would you want?
I've kind of come to two decisions. One, I'm just going to go over real quick because I think it follows a little less. This Black Clover could use a game that tells the actual story. Just something quick, I would say. But for the dream game, I got to start with create your own character. I'd want to be able to interact with characters that you know, but I'd want a character that has my own choice of magic, my own. I can be on, or I can earn my way to a specific squad based on like a mini game at the start.
But Williamson, but in every other game we've done, you always say, hey, that you want an original story, not to follow the actual story. Why is it different for Black Clover than other stuff like Dragon Ball or Naruto?
Because we haven't gotten it before, at least to the same extent. As I said, I've never played the other game that's come out already for Black Clover, but this could give people who aren't interested in watching the anime but like a specific style of games a chance to play the story mode and find a reason to like these characters and develop the fan base in another way.
Of course, because the Black Clover Quartet Knights didn't have, like, it wasn't far enough into the story like Boruto. Like, it was around Boruto at that point, like relatively the same number of episodes. But the main difference between the two is when Black Clover released the game, they decided, let's do our own original story. When Shinobi Strikers came out, they're like, no story, which I think was a really bad idea because that limited how much people could do. So I agree with you in the sense of I'd rather have a game tell the same story as the anime than have a game with no story at all. Like that just seems like it kills a lot of games when you say no story mode. Really?
Yeah. I mean, think about Star Wars Battlefront, the first one made by EA back about 2016, 2015. I don't remember exactly when it came out.
Right.
No story mode. And so all you could do is play online. And me and another one of our roommates from college both got the game and we played it for maybe a week and then set it aside.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I can understand in a sense of like you're just starting out, you don't really have a good sense of what you want to do, but that's what like patches and stuff can be for. You can say, hey, we're going to give you guys a story mode, but we're going to wait a little bit and then we'll add it in. Maybe we'll make you pay for it. Maybe we won't. They probably would just as it's a story mode itself, but like I'd be willing to shell out if they told us that. But this game, I feel like they would have a storyline just pre-built in.
Yeah, but I want to kind of say, yeah, I think that there are two different. For this one, there needs to be two video games. One that is retelling the story from the anime. You'll play as Asta and the other main characters. And then I think there needs to be a separate game that follows the Xenoverse or the Uzumaki Chronicles style, but with your own customized character. So you have your character, and then you follow your own story. You may interact with the original characters. I think in reality, that's the dream game. The other one just needs to be there to develop for the other game.
Right. And I think in regards to the dream game scenario, I feel like how do I put this? I feel like it's a case of because depending on the mission, failure should not end the game. Because if I recall right, in the Uzumaki Chronicles, when you failed a mission, that wasn't necessarily the end of the game. It just said, oh, mission failed, and then you moved on. Unless it was like a specific story-driven mission, like you were fighting Orochimaru or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from what I remember, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, in Black Clover, they have these star rankings. If your team does really well on a mission or something like that, you get a certain amount of stars. The more stars you have, that's the better you're seen throughout the kingdom. And maybe if you're not doing so hot, then you're ranked super low and people don't really look at you. People don't really look at you with as many good redeeming qualities. But if your squad does well enough, maybe you get like better items and shops or stuff like that saying, hey, you helped us out and you're ranked really high, so I'm going to give you a discount on this type of item or this type of thing.
Yeah. You could even add in a mechanic where as you play through the game and you can have new or something that they could add to the game as it goes on is every few months there's new special characters that are being added, and if you're ranked really low, the best of them will end up going to other Magic Knight
Squads.
squads.
Yeah.
And you'll only get the lower quality ones, but then you might be able to. But if you're a higher rank, you get, oh, well, we want to join you, so you can get the higher quality.
But also, in terms of character creation, because there seem to be two specific types of people in Black Clover when it comes to Magic Knights. One is royals who don't train that hard or were kind of born to do this, and the other is like more peasant type characters like Asta and Yuno, who really get by because of how hard they work. I think there should be a mechanic for this game where if you were to create your own character, you could decide what you wanted. Like if you start off as a royal, you wouldn't be like, you'd start off stronger, but your potential might not be as high. But if you're a peasant, you start off weaker, but the harder you train, the harder you work and all that stuff, you get a lot stronger than people think you would.
Yeah, I think that would be a good way of doing it. And then you may want, like, just to balance it out more so that you could have someone who has good potential but starts off kind of at a medium level. Like there's royalty is the top. That's like the leader of the Silver Eagles.
Leader
They're
that
family. They're the royalty. Then there's the nobles, which are slightly below them, but might have to work to try to make it into the best squads. And then but then again, you could also really fuck that up and make them arrogant, and like some of the characters we've seen.
Yeah, I will say that, like, I feel in terms of like grimoires and spells and stuff like that, I feel like it should kind of be a case of the first episode or the first 2 episodes. Maybe there's a ceremony and saying, hey guys, this is where you get your grimoires, go out and help the Wizard King and use your power. With great power comes great responsibility and all that jazz. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily, as much as I would like to pick my own type of magic, I don't necessarily think that would be the truest way to the story of how that happens. Like maybe it's like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon where you have to answer a few questions and depending on how you answer them, it could be something along those lines, but don't make it completely, because the first few games of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, they made it kind of convoluted and they kept pigeonholing you into like 1 or 2 things. So this would have to be, I don't know how they would go about picking it, but that's just an idea, at least I think.
I think that if I remember correctly, one of the games had an option where you took like a quiz, like you said, and then there was like 10 questions or something, and then upon completion, it automatically selected one of the options for you. So I think that being the case, yeah, that would really work. But maybe upon beating the game, or at least the story mode, you unlock the ability to, when you replay it, like you could take the quiz again and get a random one, or you can, at the end, you can open up and select which one you want. That way, it gives the game replay value. That way, you can select, oh, well, I want this type of magic this time because I want to be able to do this spell that I saw halfway through the game.
And there's a Naruto. We haven't talked about this a lot, but there's this Naruto app that's supposedly coming out. But it keeps getting delayed or something. But it shows like you're able to have the elements fire, water, fire, earth, lightning, water, something along those lines. But the thing that really sucks about it is it's like stuck to a character. Like, so if you want to be a fire user, but you want to be a boy, you can't do that. You have to do the fire user as a girl, which makes no sense to me. I think so. No matter what gender you pick, it shouldn't limit what type of magic you have. That's such a small point, but I just had to bring it up because that just bothered me looking at it.
Yeah, when you create a character, you should be able to get any type of magic and stuff, especially in a game like this where I don't think it would really matter.
Yeah, plus it's our game. Who's going to tell us no? The imaginary people asking for it?
Who knows?
Yeah. But the thing, in terms of, like, I do think it should be one of those things where once you get your magic, you can't change it. Like, you can't, like it can't be one of those things where you can't, like, take someone else's grimoire or something else like that. You're just stuck using your own sort of grimoire. And you should start off with like all the basic spells, but as you get stronger and stronger, those spells get stronger. You learn new ones as the story progresses, depending on what you do. And hell, I was thinking maybe. Okay, well, first let me ask you this: would you want your choices to matter, like whether you fought for the kingdom or fought against the kingdom or something like that, or would that be too much?
I really think that since we're so early on, you would need to be a member of one of the squads. You join in, maybe you could eventually, like in a later game, you could get a choice of, okay, are you someone on the outskirts who's really powerful and wants to see some sort of change and are going to force it by becoming a bad guy? As I said, I think that's a later game. That's the series is over. Let's make a new game that's gonna it's different.
Yeah. And this takes it in a little bit of a different direction. But I remember in the game Infamous, depending on whether you were a good guy or a bad guy, that's how your powers developed. Like if you were a bad guy, certain attacks were more lethal. But if you were a good guy, your attacks could restrain enemies and have them alive for live capture, making you more of a good guy. So maybe in the sense like that, but I would want like the more powerful attacks to just be a bad guy, because we've seen Yami slice through dimensions. That's a scary attack, but he's there's no question he's a good guy, unless you interrupt him when he's taking a dump or something like that. But
which is all the time. But
all the time.
I really think in a game like this, you could add a personality setting where you're more on the nice side, so you follow more of the Asta, where you're gonna make friends with everybody.
Yeah.
Or you can go maybe a bit more harsh, and I wouldn't say evil, but more harsh in a game like this, where it's a like light and dark personality. So
right.
Your personality, if you're on the darker side, your attacks are much more violent and much more, I'm going to destroy my enemies, versus on the lighter side, I want to stop you from hurting someone else, or I want to stop you. I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. And people seem to, another thing we didn't really talk about is when it comes to learning new spells, that's not just something that people seem to pick up and like, oh, I learned a new spell. Like it seems to happen like after a character shift moment. Like spoiler alert, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When Noelle learned her Sea Dragon's Roar spell, like her ultimate spell right now, well, sort of ultimate spell right now, like it was like she was struggling, like I can't do this, only for everyone to reaffirm, no, we got your back, we're a family. So I wouldn't just want to be you learn the most powerful spell simply by leveling up. Like some should be restricted throughout the story. Some you can learn just training by yourself or something, but others should be like plot driven.
I really don't think that you should even be able to learn spells on your, like, if I shouldn't be able to just train at my place and learn spells. I think most spells, there should be some that are tied into the story that are like the ones that you need to progress through certain things. You would learn the spell when you need it. I think that it would be really cool. This is based on, I don't know if they've done it since, but like a handful of dungeons just that spawn randomly throughout the world, and you can, if you go in and reach the end, you unlock like something that you can equip as your ultimate spell. That's something strong, like how got the fairy.
Yeah, but of course it would have to relate to your magic. Like if I was a lightning style user, I couldn't just see like, oh, a fire or ultimate spell, I'm going to use this now. Like I don't like that. Wouldn't work.
No, I agree. Like if you, and I kind of want to say this, the way that they would need to do it, the labyrinths or tombs or whatever they're called, I forgot what they call them in the show, can be also not copy and paste among each one, but in between games they're all the same, but then whatever's at the end may be changed. So you might
like that.
So if I go if my friend goes into this dungeon and finds his spell, which is fire, and I happen to have the same attribute in my game, so I'm also a fire wizard, and I go in there, I might not find the fire. I might find the wood magic, and then I'd have to travel to the next one or go find a different dungeon that has the correct one for my style.
Yeah. Heck, Asta found a sword in his, so I think weaponry could help. Remember, Magna has a flippin' baseball bat that I'm pretty sure is on fire like 99% of the time when he uses it. So I do think some sort of, maybe if you find some sort of weapon, you can combine it with your magic so that can work for more melee attacks. If you want to be more of a melee fighter, or just if you want to be long range, maybe a bow and arrow or something like that. It would just depend.
Yeah, and I think you'd start out whatever, like you're a fire wizard, you get fireball as your first and only spell to start when you go, and you might maybe you have something on your way to the exams or something, and you unlock your second spell, and that's what you go into the exams with, is the first and second spell.
Right, and I do think it should be a case like did with the Ant-Man. Like, he was so good, everybody wanted him on their squad, but so I don't want it to be a case where you're so good, so you automatically have to go with the best squad available. Well, frankly, I don't even think that they would, if they were to do something like this, every single squad would be available. It might just be either join the Golden Dawn or join the Black Bulls, or like maybe 2 or 3 other ones. But I don't think all of 9 or 10 or however many there were. I think it probably just needs to be restricted to 2, maybe 3, because we still don't know every single person on each squad yet.
I'd almost want it to be kind of a special case thing. You don't go to the exams. Maybe you got your thing and you were waylaid on your way to the exams, so you miss it, and based on how you do whatever it is that wait against what you waylaid, you run into these 3 captains, and all 3 are willing to accept you. But if you go this way, it's a completely different 3, and then based on that, you get to pick of those 3 which one you want to do.
I just thought of something in that regard. Maybe you show up late and they say, sorry, something's happening. But then maybe an enemy attacks or something like that. And depending on whatever and they say, hey, you guys go over there, help this Magic Knight. You help that Magic Knight. You do whatever you need to do. And maybe I decide, I'm going to go help Yami. And if I do well in like the mission succeeds and everything, he's like, hey, you fought good alongside me. Come join the Black Bulls. I'm just like, neat.
But he literally rips his own off and throws it over your head, and
it's just like, yeah, Milo, push past your limits. You got it. And if you die, I'll kill you. That's very confusing, but yeah, okay, let's go.
But yeah, I think so. I brought this up a few days ago when we were talking about planning this.
Sure.
Would the end game be that you are now captain level and are forming your own Magic Knight squad, or do you want to just be one of the top members of one of the existing squads?
I feel like realistically it would be one of the top members of the existing squads. Maybe later down the line they could do you have your own Magic Knight squad, but I feel like that'd be like DLC or something like that, if they even decide to do that. But it's our game. We can say whatever we want.
That might have to be like, that would be interesting, because they've talked about in the anime, from what I remember, that there were squads that used to exist that just kind of either died out or were replaced by other squads. So
right.
So I would say maybe there's a game that takes place beforehand where you form your own squad and you get to pick what animal or what your symbol is, and then what color.
Right.
And then it's you running your squad. But I think that would be a good later game thing, that not in this game, but another game.
Yeah. Also, we also just have to talk about the different types of magic. Like there would obviously need to be fire, water, lightning, ice, healing, gravity. I don't think Dream World would work because somebody has dream powers. But what power would you want? What magic would you want to use?
Gun, because my ultimate attack could be that I launch nukes at people.
Jesus Christ, I thought you were joking. Oh my god.
No, but in all seriousness, got you'd need wind again. I don't know if you mentioned that one.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, like you need of course, all the basics. I wouldn't do like some of the specialty kind of magics.
Right.
Like I wouldn't do anti-magic because that seems like in a game where you create your own character, that just seems like it's too specific to Asta to copy.
I thought you were going to say it's too overpowered, because if we were going to talk about that, I was going to say I don't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm sure I'll remember by the time the video's over, but that one guy had beast magic. I thought you were going to say like no beast magic or anything. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
Yeah, you'd have to pick certain ones that are kind of on the more unique side and push them. Like no, because like God, anti-magic wouldn't really work.
Like there's light and dark. Like you can use dark magic. I think it's not, because dark magic and anti-magic aren't necessarily the same thing.
Well, isn't dark magic what Yami uses, which is actually using mana? So,
yeah. Yeah, mana.
And anti-magic doesn't use mana, so
that's a whole nother topic for another day. But I don't know. Like I think there would have to, like, it couldn't just be like the 4 basic elements. They'd have to add other stuff to it, and I think there could be like subcategories for stuff like that. Like if you get really good, if you have water magic, at some point it doesn't make a whole. If you have water magic, it shouldn't be too out of the realm of possibility that if you somehow also were able to learn ice magic, as long as because it corresponds, water and ice, it makes perfect sense.
Well, I'm trying to remember. This might be a spoiler alert. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Doesn't oh God, what's her name? The main girl from
Noelle.
The series, Noelle. Is her armor water or is it ice? Because I don't remember when she unlocks the same ability as her mother.
I think it's supposed to be water, but I don't think we've ever really gone into detail. Like she learned it, and they just sort of moved on from that point. Like I don't know, it was weird.
Okay, because I was thinking it was her freezing her water as armor. As I said, I haven't gotten that far in this anime, so
it very well might be, but I don't know. And another thing, speaking of Noelle, I think your teammate should play a big factor into this. Like, let's say you join the Black Bulls, but the person you mainly, like, I don't think it should just necessarily, like, teamwork should matter, because they're always preaching, like, we have to work together, we have to get this done. If everybody isn't completely in sync for this next move, we're all gonna die. So it can't just be you being overpowered by yourself. Like, maybe you learn certain combo spells, and maybe if you I don't want to keep compare stuff to Persona, but the more time you spend with people, you help them out with certain stuff, almost like the Attack on Titan game. They get better, you get better working with them, maybe certain people you have combo attacks with, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I could see that. Something else I think you could actually thinking about how we've talked about this game, you could tie it into the telling the story of the anime in the background.
Right.
Where, well, Asta's over here battling so and so. You just happen to be over here fighting this guy that isn't actually in the anime, but is part of the same bad guy team and trying to do something.
Yeah.
Your job is to stop him from interfering with that fight, which, if he was to interfere, would pretty much guarantee Asta's dead. Yeah.
I think something like that could definitely work, and that would obviously be one of those missions where you have to succeed, because we can't make the story too open-ended just yet. So if somebody important dies, it could just be like, well, you gotta do it again, because
but and that way, based on who's actually supposed to be in the fight at the time, you can be partnered with different people. So like, if Yuno's actually doing this fight, Asta could be running to wherever his fight is, but you have to help Asta get there and stuff. So you're helping him in as part of like the cutscene before, or what would be a cutscene before he actually arrives.
Yeah. And if I was in the Black Bulls, I'd be spending time with the strongest Black Bulls member in the whole kingdom. I'd be spending time with Gordon. because he just wants to be friends with everybody. There's nothing wrong with that.
God, I've seen scenes from later on once he gets a bit more screen time.
Yeah, we could hang out with this family and eat their weird dishes.
It'd be interesting, like side characters like that. You go to, like, if you're part of the Black Bulls, you go to Gordon's family's house, and then they feed you something and it gives you a specific power up or something.
Heck, like another like kind of a mini spoiler or whatever. Like Gordon's dad is like known to be super smart when it comes to spells and stuff like that. Maybe the more time you spend with him, the more strengths and weaknesses you can learn about different types of spells. Like, don't use this spell against this certain type of opponent, or just something along those lines.
Yeah, and something that they really should do is have a power and control system in the game, where kind of how Noelle has struggled with her control. She's super powerful, but has like zero control over her magic.
Yeah, very early on.
So like you can boost both up, but maybe at a certain point, in order to be able to boost your control to a better level, you have to sacrifice a tiny bit of power and figuring out the right balance where, and eventually, I mean, you could get them both up all the way, but but for part of the story, you have to figure out, okay, do I need more power right now and sacrificing some of my control, or do I need less power and more control so I can hit more?
Yeah, like, because certain people, if you train with certain people, maybe they help you with power while other people help you with control, that sort of thing. Like because Noelle eventually gets to the point where she's a pretty damn competent match. Maybe she could help you in terms of control, because she's like, I've been there, so I'll help you out, but only for the team. I don't want to be friends with you or anything. I'm just like, okay. I'm like, all right, okay, if we get attacked, you're the first to go.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting idea, and that way but early on and throughout the story, you have to figure out how you want to go, because if you increase your power too much, you may have the most powerful attack, like in the game at level 1, but zero control, so you end up like never being able to hit your target.
Yeah, like you end up wasting all of your power, and the enemy has a giant advantage against you.
Or vice versa, you could have the opposite problem. You have, like, you can hit everything 100% of the time. Your attacks never miss, but you have, like, you do 1 damage.
Yeah. But like I know some people, though, who wouldn't even want to necessarily just be an attack person. Some people do want to be healers or support. So I think it should be a case of, depending on what type of powers you have, you should be able to like pick who you want to work with. Like, for example, if I pick somebody who's good with if I'm somebody who's good with support and stuff like that, but my attacks aren't great, I'd pick somebody like Luck, because he's really, really strong. Like, we could work together while I could back him up with like stat buffs or heal him or something along those lines. Or I'm super, super strong, but I run out of energy fast, and Charmy feeds me with all different types of food and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that would be an interesting idea. But I go back real quick to the power thing. I think when it comes to healing, and like, you could have, if you have no power but all control, when it comes to healing, you'd end up healing them for like 1 HP, but then if you have the opposite, it can, like, you healed the bone in the wrong direction, you've crippled them for the rest of this fight.
Jesus, you were trying
you have but you have no control, but you have power, so you're able to instantly heal them, but you don't do it right.
Oh god! Like,
so that's why you have to find the balance.
Maybe their defense is down or something like that, or like, we don't necessarily have to say they're crippled for this mission, or whatever, but they'll be fine.
They're injured for the rest of or until you are successful in casting the spell to heal them.
Right, something like that.
But yeah, so there's some options there for a way of balancing the game.
Yeah, as for combat, I don't know. In the first Black Clover game they did, you had a choice of like 4 different spells. I think one of them was your ultimate spell, but once you used the spell once, you had to wait a certain amount of time. Like, sometimes it was 10 seconds before you could use it again. Sometimes it was 20. It just depended on what the spell was. I think something like that could work because you don't necessarily see people run out of mana all that often. It's just sort of they get tired and beaten up in that regard. So, like, you could use other spells, but it's just you have to wait longer to use this specific one. Obviously, if you use all your spells up super fast, then you're screwed for a bit. But I don't know. I think it was pretty unique in what they tried to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide because like the gameplay, how I would want it. I really think it could be. There's two different options I really see, and that's the version you were kind of talking about, where it's kind of a mixed RPG fighter game, kind of where you control them,
Right.
but you select their stuff. But I could also see this being an turn-based RPG kind of thing,
Really?
kind of in the style of some of the older Final Fantasy games and stuff, where you have your team of probably one, then two, and your team grows, and then you select magic, and you have your mana, which can be recovered by certain spells, or you use certain amounts, and of course you recover a little bit. Could be more in the style of Persona, so you have a whole bunch of options that you can pick from on how you would use it.
You know, I never really think because whenever somebody says, "Oh, this game is turn-based," I kind of turned my head away. But this type of game, it might actually kind of work. I mean, they already have seemingly a turn-based mobile app, Black Clover game, and it's been pretty well received. But I don't know. That's one of those things where I just would not know in terms of whether I don't know.
They would have it to do the turn-based. You'd have to have a good story.
Right.
If not, then you would have to have if your story's okay, not the best, not the worst, then you kind of need to do more of an action RPG kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. As for, and this is such a small point, but I'm going to get it out of the way. When I say things like you should be able to deepen your relationship with your other squad mates, I don't mean that necessarily mean that romantically. Like, it could just be, hey, you're really close with Vanessa, so you work really well with her. It doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. I feel like I have to say that for some people.
You know, something interesting that could be an aspect is adding in rivalry. So you, like, early on, you could be assigned specific people to be teamed with you when you're, and just so happens that you don't get along with the personality that's generated for whoever you're teaming with at first.
Right.
Because I kind of want you to have, you can team with the main characters, but then maybe there's a few people that are like that join the squad with you, and you get to, and one of them happens to be your rival. They want to be the best in the squad, and so do you, or something. And you have to, so maybe your different aspects, like you'll have to pick how you develop your relationship with them versus like how you just being friends, you would say something nice. Oh, you did really well out there. Here, you might argue, but somehow that builds team work better with them.
Right, because we see Magna and Luck basically always trying to kill Magna all the time, but they are best friends, so they work incredibly well together when they're not trying to maim and light and like electrocute with him and stuff like that. So something along those lines, because there are a lot of different relationships in Black Clover that would be interesting. I'd be on board with that. You shouldn't be liked by everybody necessarily.
Yeah, you definitely want to be liked by certain people just so that you have friends, but I definitely want like unique side characters that are unique to the game or unique partner characters and stuff. I think that would work well.
I was about to say, for the record, I feel like a lot of the Royals I would not get along with. I just feel like y'all are so stuck up. Shut up.
It'd be interesting, I think, because and that could affect relationships, as we talked about earlier. How if you're in the if you choose to be a member of the royalty, then you get along really well with most of the other royalty, but have worse relationships with the nobles and the
Well, unless of course you decide to be like you're one of the, because we know Mimosa is technically royalty, but she's super nice to everybody, and some of the other royals are like, why are you so nice to them? They're peasants. And she doesn't really see it that way, which is probably why she hates her brother as much as she does.
Yeah, and kind of the leader of the
Golden Dawn?
Crimson Lions.
Lions.
Both of them, they aren't they royalty? Aren't they part of the?
Technically, yes.
So both the brother and sister are considered part of the royalty, and but they don't care about that Austin's a commoner. They treat him like just a member of another squad, and
which is exactly how even if I was part of the Black Wolves, I'd be like, dude, I don't care if you're a peasant or not, dude. Like, you do you, man. Like, let's get some ramen sometime. I don't know.
So yeah, I think it's really interesting. But I mean, just imagine, like, because their relationship, spoiler alert, has some ups and downs where they argue. So, but that builds their relationship. So imagine that as your character between him and and your rival in your own squad or in another squad.
I was about to say though, game original characters I would really like game original characters, like which I think they would ultimately do. I mean, they did it once before in the first Black Clover game. I don't see what would stop them from doing that this time. Meanwhile, then again, I've said that for other anime games, and look what we've got.
True.
By the way, to emphasize to everybody, just once again, this game is probably not happening. I mean, granted, we don't really have a base to say, like, for Naruto, we say stuff like, oh, it's going to be an arena fighter, Dragon Ball, an arena fighter, or a fighting game. We don't really have the same evidence when it comes to Black Clover in terms of what we know they're going to do. We just know our idea is a little too ambitious, but it's still a relatively new series. They might be willing to try anything at this point, because anime games kind of mediocre right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to. What was the last major anime game to come out? I'm trying to think. Was it Kakarot?
Yep, probably Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, from what I remember.
Because I don't think there's been a Naruto or Boruto game since then.
Oh, we would have been on that. We would have known about that. No.
And I'm trying to think of other series that are big. There might have been some small game. Maybe there was the Fairy Tail game. That was probably the last major game to come out.
That's not out yet, is it?
Oh.
I don't think that's out.
Maybe that one's coming out this fall. I don't remember, but so maybe that's that. I guess that's the big game. And
and Captain Tsubasa, but that's a sports game, but which still technically anime. But I'm not too concerned about that game. I feel like that game's gonna do fine.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. So really, it's been a little while since without one.
And I'm just gonna address this. I know we to our viewers, I know we say create a character, like element, that sort of thing, but it's different. And how many arena fighters have we got in the past several years? How many, like everybody says they want the next Naruto game to be like Dragon Ball Fighters. Like the problem with anime games is that two big things. One, they kind of just say, you know what, no matter what the game is, it's about this anime, it's popular enough, people will buy it regardless, which is not the best mindset to have. And two, they're all basically kind of the same.
Yeah, I remember hearing someone say that that a lot of people were saying, I really want Xenoverse 3. It's like, but what can they do different?
They would have to do a massive overhaul for it, because we've seen creative character games do work. Like Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2 are both incredibly popular, but the overall mechanics of it can be kind of a mess. Like the netcode, just the story and the playability. Like it could be an amazing game if they just rehauled it and fixed some issues and listened to people about it.
And then there's the issue of, for Xenoverse 3, from I guess no, because they included in DLC, they included the end of Super, so you can fight every character that has come through the anime of Dragon Ball.
Right.
Now, maybe if Super comes back and you get the new characters and the new storyline, but as far as I've seen, there's not enough yet to justify paying $60 for a brand new game. I'd want $20 for a DLC that gets me this story on Xenoverse 2, the next part of the story.
And like I said, just getting back, because this is a Black Clover video, I do think it's one of those things where the Black Clover doesn't really work as a typical fighting type of game, because like we said before, not everybody's magic is perfectly equipped for fighting, especially close range, because a lot of people have long range attacks. So I think in this a different type of battle style, even turn based would make some sense for this regard. So I don't know.
And that could be interesting with the turn based one, because then you have to select your team. You need a support. You need someone there who has specific powers, and maybe if you put the wrong team together towards the end, you won't be able to beat the final boss because you don't have his weaknesses covered or his strengths covered.
Hypothetically, if I joined the Golden Dawn and me and are up in the front, we could have Mimosa in the back healing us, supporting us, and doing that sort of thing. We wouldn't necessarily want her up front because not a lot of her spells are offensive, so we'd have to play around that. Even if it's not necessarily turn-based or that sort of thing. Hey, maybe you could command certain teammates, hey, you fall back for support. Hey, you go around and try and hit them from the side, or that sort of thing. You conserve your energy, you go all out, and just that sort of thing. Obviously, it should be a case of some people shouldn't trust you right away. Maybe some people, once you build up your relationship with them, they'll immediately be like, yeah, I'll trust you, I'll go this way, while others will kind of hesitate, why should I trust you? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there should be missions, especially towards the end, where you have to team with other squads. So you might get these extra characters that you say, hey, I need you to go here and support so-and-so, and they just reject you or are like, well, why should I listen to you? And something has to trigger so that you, if you're, oh, but I know so-and-so on your squad, and they come out and say, hey, listen to him, he knows what he's talking about. So you have to build relationships between squads as well.
Yeah. Also, in terms of customization, it definitely shouldn't be you're stuck to a certain base. There should be shops or certain types of things that you can pay for to adjust your hair, your other sorts of stuff. It's such a small thing. It's such a simple thing, but it needs to be. It's a pretty major thing.
Yeah, because the only thing that should be required is when you're on missions, you should have to wear your robe. You don't get a choice in that. Your robe will automatically get put over whatever clothes you're wearing.
Yeah, or you could choose to be just wear it, because there are two varieties. There's one without the hood, and there's one with the hood. You can put it on. You cannot. It doesn't affect anything. It's just purely aesthetic, though.
But yeah, but for the most part, you can customize everything underneath, and when you're in whatever the hub world is, if you're out shopping at the black market or something, you're in your clothes without your robe on, then you put your robe on for your missions.
Yeah, I already know what my character would be. Just this, and after that, completely naked. Completely. I think that would work. That'd be fine. Nobody would be traumatized by that in the slightest.
And that's how you win all your fights?
Yep, because no one wants to touch me. Oh, God. What's your magic? What magic? I'm just naked. I'm just nude. No,
but you have no magic, but no one can actually hit you.
Exactly. Also, I feel like voice acting for your character shouldn't be too out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I remember as a kid there were games where you selected between three voices, and all the dialogue was recorded for those three voices all the way through. It's I know that costs money, and y'all are trying to make as much money as possible, but just spend that little bit more. It's such a nice touch that if I pick the deepest voice, my character will talk in that voice the entire time.
Or it could just be a thing where, depending on because it does, like, your character doesn't necessarily have to be silent, but they don't have to be talking the whole time. Like, maybe if you pick, and it could be like Mass Effect, like if you pick an answer, that could be when you talk. And it doesn't necessarily have to be word for word that exact answer, but it basically gets an exact point across. Or at least in that regard, it would be a sense of you at least need to be able to say your magic. Like if you cast a spell, you should be able to talk.
Well, and then think about this. So if it's an action game, the way you can instruct certain people could be the D-pad. Because that's how like some of the classic games used to do stuff where you would give instructions. And I was specifically thinking of like Battlefront 1 and 2 on the original PS2 version.
Right.
They had voice actors for each of the 4 factions. So you heard the droids saying, go cover this, and you'd hear Roger, Roger and stuff, but you would also hear this classic stormtrooper voice and stuff. So just have that so that different people respond and you respond when you give orders or make suggestions and stuff.
As long as I never hear somebody in the Black Clover universe say, "Watch out for those wrist rockets," I think we'll in that regard. I think that's a good enough reason. You're surprised I knew that.
But yeah, I think that would be an interesting way of being able to do an action RPG and telling someone, "Hey, you need to fall back and heal us and stay out of the main fight."
Or hypothetically, if there's like treasure ahead or another villain up ahead, I could be like, "Hey, Asta, you keep going. We got these guys." Asta runs off, and you're like, "So which one of us is dying first?" It's probably me.
Yeah, so I think that would be an interesting way. I think we've covered a lot in this so far.
Yeah, a lot more than I thought we would, but I am going to say this one sort of different point because our channel generally says the same thing in this regard. I don't think it needs to be completely open world.
No. I think I'm going back to the Uzumaki Chronicles, especially I don't really remember number 1, but number 2. You get a map of the world, and here's your mission location, and you can select to go there. But as you go, well, you get about halfway there. Now you're running into the bad guy, or something you're getting ambushed.
They would have to fix that because in the Uzumaki Chronicles, they were on their bullshit with that. It happens way too often sometimes, especially if I'm just going to the shop or something.
Well, I don't mean like you can have like if I'm just in the village or in my area, then you won't run into anyone. But say I'm traveling to the outskirts to go to one of the dungeons or whatever we call them. That's where you'll on your way you might run into Diamond Kingdom or Spade Kingdom bad guys.
Yeah, which is exactly why for almost every mission I'm going to have Charmy with me because she never seems to run out of power or anything, and she can heal people ridiculously fast. Look, as long as if they do stuff like that, they provide you with the food that Charmy makes. Like the food literally shoots out the TV onto a plate, and you're just able to eat alongside everybody. That's all I care about. That's not too unrealistic.
Should there be cheat codes in a game like this where you can unlock extra things? Because I'm thinking about it, this kind of game that we've described here, I think needs cheat codes that give you extra stuff.
Oh Lord. You can clone yourself. Clone yourself. Up, up, down, down, left, right, square, circle, X, R3.
Well, I'm just thinking I used to play the Mega Man Battle Network games, and I remember going to the chip shop to enter the codes and stuff, so you could get the already programmed set of chips that work perfectly together and create the ultimate attack right away.
Yeah, I get the feeling it'd be one of those things kind of like Red Dead Redemption, where it's like, all right, you use that, but just for that, you're not getting a trophy designated with this until you turn cheat codes off, which I think people would be fine with. But as long as they didn't go too crazy with what you could have.
There should be one trophy, and it's literally a trophy called Cheater.
You cheat and you just immediately get it.
Yeah, enter any cheat code and it'll automatically activate. So that could be an interesting way of doing like gauntlets or something. But again, the game wouldn't save, so you can't run like dungeon crawl with unlimited health.
Yeah.
And then switch it to play the
I think
story.
we should also talk about online stuff, because I think online you should be able to trade certain objects with people, like you have a certain weapon that somebody else wants, or materials to make a certain powerful weapon, something like that. Like you and I could go on missions together, you and I could train with each other, that sort of thing. I honestly didn't think we had to mention online all that much because it seems so self-explanatory with all this other stuff, but who knows? There are people who like that stuff.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. Kind of having like an exchange, or where if you're directly with a person, you can trade items.
Yeah.
Because let's say I'm a water user and you have the ultimate water weapon, which let's say a trident that
Right.
allows you to cast like these it quadruples your power with water spells or something.
Yeah, and I'm not I'm not a water user. I have no use for this. What am I going to do with it?
You could either trade it with another player for something that you need. Say I don't know, you're a lightning wizard, and I have some sort of weapon that quadruples lightning effects. It's the ultimate lightning weapon.
Right, right.
So we trade that way. We each have the weapon we need. Do you want it to be multiplayer, as in you play against each other, like you have like a tournament in a coliseum, or do you want it to where you can play the parts of the story together or dungeon crawl together?
I'd probably restrict it to, like, hypothetically dungeon crawling and like tournaments, but maybe it could be one of those things where, like, because I know, remember Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, like if you failed at certain points, you could send a distress signal and somebody online could come and help you out. Like maybe you get a notification, oh, Foster and his squad failed at this point. Do you want to go help them? You'd probably say no, knowing our relationship, but it could still be there.
Yeah, I think story mode is separate. In the hub world, kind of like Xenoverse, if you turn on online, you can see some other players.
Right.
But more interaction. If you talk to them, you're actually talking with the other person. You can try to negotiate trades.
Yeah. Heck, maybe do like hypothetically, maybe you and I have a battle, and it could be like Shaolin Showdown. We both wager something. Whoever wins gets both items, or something like that. You and I probably wouldn't do that, but it could be a neat option as long as people didn't abuse it too much.
Yeah. Again, there could be tournaments and stuff that you could enter your thing in, and that would be interesting. And so online, if you register your game online, whichever squad you're a part of, you help earn them stars for online. It's separate from the story mode, and based on your performance, you help boost your squad up. And if you're the top squad, at the end
the best items and points and everything.
Yeah, you get special rewards for being different ranks. If you're at the very bottom, the next time you'll earn points faster than everybody else.
Yeah. And your punishment for being at the bottom is you're teleported into the bathroom while Captain Yami's taking a dump. And you basically just have to deal with him from there.
But yeah, I think, but that way it would make it fair, I think. So if you come in last, and because knowing a lot of people, they'd either be Black Bull, Golden Dawn, or probably the Crimson Lions are probably the three most popular, if I remember what I saw at one point, just because of how much development
those have the most characters. So if it had to be like 3 squads you could choose from, it'd have to be those 3.
But let's say it's not. You end up being able to go with anyone, so you're part of the Green Praying Mantis. Right. But you come in the last place one during this month. Well, next month you've got a 5 times boost. So every activity that earns stars for your squad, so you're guaranteed to at least not be last, pretty much, unless you're really bad.
Yeah, yeah. And it does. And like I said, it's online. You wouldn't necessarily have to do it. It would just be an option that's there, because not everybody likes playing online. Which makes you wonder why, when people say they want this stream Naruto style game, they want to be strictly online, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. So there are definitely elements that can make online fun and playable for even someone who, like myself, who doesn't usually play the online modes very often. So
Yeah, I think so. Although, yeah, I think we covered actually a lot more than I thought we would have in this time. So overall, we basically kind of come up with two games. One that could be maybe more turn-based, that could be more based on the story, like the actual story, especially since they've gone a lot further and you can have a couple of arcs in there. And the other could be its own original story with a created character. We've come up with pretty much two games, which they probably will do the one that's not as ambitious, but there's no reason we still can't talk about it and still can't reflect on it.
I don't know if you can hear, but it has started to storm on my end.
I
So
I can't hear it. It's been thundering a little bit in my area, but other than that, I haven't heard too much.
yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. That's something we need to talk about. What do we want in a Black Clover movie? Because they haven't gotten their first movie yet, have they?
They have not gotten their first movie, a Black Clover movie. It's all about Gordon.
Well, that might be something to think or talk about at another date.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it next time. But well, I guess we should address the people watching this video if they've made it this far.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to give you the spotlight, but overall, fans, people who've just woken up after having this video on loop for about 20 minutes or so. What do you want to see in a Black Clover game? Don't worry if it's something that's been said a million times. Don't worry if it doesn't sound realistic. It's a video game, and it's our dream video game. It's your dream video game. Like you can say whatever you want as long as it completely has to do with Black Clover. Like if you say guns, then get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Any suggestions? We've been trying to look at comments as we get them. If you have anything that you think we forgot or certain aspects that you would want in the story, let us know.
Or if you want us, oddly enough, if you want us to keep making, Black Clover game videos, like we can talk about. I guess we could find more time to talk about stuff like this. Or if you would want our opinion on other dream anime games, like let us know. Like Williamson can talk Fairy Tail, and I can sit here and pretend like I'm interested.
Yeah, if there's an anime that hasn't gotten a mainstream game, or even if it's gotten a mainstream game but not one in a while, let us know that you want us to talk about it. And if we know enough about it, we'll come up with something to talk about.
Yeah, like people say Bleach and Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter all the time. So maybe we'll come up with those. I'm more familiar with Hunter x Hunter than I am Bleach, but we can talk about that later. Just let us know in the comments. Something.
I may do something with Bleach now that it's coming back. I need to figure something out for that because I loved Bleach when I was watching it on Adult Swim.
Who knows? Maybe I'll get in a few episodes and maybe we'll talk about it. But like I said, let us know. We're here. We love them. We love them.
We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. We do. We do. Not everybody appreciates us, but the fact that you comment, subscribe, even listen to our video for the whole time, or even just 5 or 10 seconds, that's something. So,
Do we have any shout outs for this time before we log out?
That is a good point. I will check right now. I don't know if we do, but I still like to give shout outs to the people who subscribe, because they could have subscribed anywhere else, but for some reason they picked us.
And just remember, we're on the road to 23 subscribers.
Yep, and after 23 subscribers, we are done. We are shutting this channel. We're not shutting this channel now, but unfortunately, no, we do not have any new subscribers. But folks, like I said, if I've missed you, which I probably have at some point, just let me know. I will give you the proper shout out, and I'll make it awkward for all of us, because that's what we do here. But anyways, I'm Foster.
And I'm Williamson.
And this has been the Anime Egotists Bias Roundtable, where our character development is meh at best. And with the Anime Egotists, if you disagree, you're wrong. But my magic is always being wrong.
You're watching Anime Egotists! And actually, I'm a better trainer than Brendan. Oh, come on, May. A little humility?